One of the things you're going to learn about Armand is he's got a very big heart. In fact, one of the things that you're going to learn is that he leads with love. That's one of the things that people who work with Armand say, that he has got an incredible heart for other people. And he's one of the most successful distributors. So he started off as a distributor, became very successful, built an organization throughout the United States, North America, throughout Latin America, around the world, saved his money, and then said, how can I go to the next level? And the next level was to become the owner and founder of a company. That's a challenging transition for most people to make. So he's learned to go from distributor to owner and founder of a company, and also is a manufacturer within the network marketing industry as well. So within this profession, he's had a large impact, continues to have a large impact, and continues to have a very big influence. And also, he's a personal friend. Sylvia and I and Liam love Armand Puyolt. And I'll tell you why, because he always gives us a big hug, a big smile. He's been an amazing supporter of the Association of Network Marketing Professionals. In fact, I would say for the last 6 years, he's been the #1 sponsor of the event, and financially has supported it to ensure that so many people can come at a great price. He always shows up himself. He has one of the largest number of distributors at the event. He averages 50 to 100 of his distributors show up live. And last year, I think they had close to 1,000 people online watching the event. So Armand, you know, by your fruits shall you be known. Just want you to know from us, large amount of shout out and respect to you. Looking forward to seeing you in Dallas, Texas, but also looking forward to everybody that's on here hearing your story. So would you mind starting there? I know there's lots of, by the way, in the chat, you can see love and heart and hugs. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that, are just going off like crazy. But I would love if you would tell your story, sir. Where did you come from? How did you get started? Because I know a lot of people would love to hear this.
Well, you know, a lot of people who that do know me know the story very well, especially, you know, when I was younger. One of the things that people might have lived through also, we lived a very poor life. And what I mean by poor is that sometimes living in a car, sometimes going from apartment to apartment to apartment, living with a single mom was a very difficult situation for, I think, myself, my brother, and her at that moment. You know, sometimes we're sleeping in the car and she didn't have nothing to eat, and, you know, or she would have just a bottle of water and she would be thirsty. You can see it on her lips. And all of a sudden she would be giving us that water, and my little brother, which was a lot smaller than I was at that time, will guzzle the whole thing up. And, you know, just, I can see her kind of, you know, hurting because of that situation. Well, I grew up in that kind of situation, which to me felt normal in many ways, felt like a normal style of life, but I did wonder why other people live differently. Why did other people have opportunities? Why did other people have a lot of different, you know, things in their homes that we couldn't have, you know? So to me, it was very much about watching and looking around all the time. By the time I turned 16, I was fortunate to, you know, get the advice of my father, which I did not live with him at that point, but he gave me a very fabulous advice as to becoming an entrepreneur. And I took it to heart to the point that I started selling candies from the backpack of my, you know, and I started selling candies. I would buy it at Smart and Final, and then I would come back and sell everything, come back to Smart and Final, buy more. And that's the way I would run a business. But it was enough to really help pay for the rent. It was enough to really get me things that I really did want. And then soon later, I was about 16 and a half or so when my mother got invited to a network marketing home party, you know, for some crystals and, you know, and pans and stuff that she really did want it to go. So I drove her there. And this is where my network marketing, you know, life began, basically, because I drove her to this. I stood in the back of the room, you know, with where the food was, because if you're not, you know, if you don't have money, you don't have food, you're eating whatever they have in the back. So this is where I was. So, but I was listening to what was happening. And one of the things that I noticed was that everybody who was in that room, everybody that was at that home party, you know, you hang out with the same people that you live or you are, right? So one of the things that happened is I noticed all these people that were my mom's friends, and I knew all these people were broke. I mean, they had more money than I did. We were the ones on the bottom, but yet they were broke. So I couldn't fathom the thought, why would these people buy these products? And why would they hold the product in their hand and say, wow, this is like a collector item. Like I would, I loved collecting comic books a little older, when I had some money, and I kind of felt that it was like that, like a baseball card or something. Like people pick up a glass and says, I don't have this model. This is from last year's model. We can order these? We don't have this. I'll buy it. And all this stuff that I kept hearing. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. People who are broke are actually buying this stuff. So, I mean, I thought that was great. So what happened? I went to the front of the room after everything in, and I actually asked the lady who was in front, who was doing the home party, that was presenting the whole deal, and I asked her, I'm really interested in selling this stuff, and how can I sell it? And she handed me a brochure and said, basically to me, whatever you need, call me. I'll order it. And I said, no, where can I get this directly? I want to actually sell it. Which I didn't understand the concept, I didn't understand, but she didn't make it any clearer. And it kind of pissed me off a little bit, because she just said, no, just whenever you need, here it is, call me. And that was the end of it, right? So I was kind of angry at that moment. I went to a swap meet, a flea market, or a tianguis, whatever you want to call it. And I was walking around, because when you are poor, this is where you go to shop, or where you go to hang out, at least Sunday morning. That's what I did. Is where I bought my boots. That's where, I bought my clothing, whatever I needed. So I would walk around, and I was walking around eating some chips at that moment. And when I was walking around, I found another lady selling the same items with, a little stand. I remember still, it was like a black sheet on top, and everything was beautiful. The tablecloth with, with the engravings of the logo. And so I knew that was the same brand that we were talking about. And I went up to her and I asked, and this lady was a beautiful young lady who just didn't know nothing either. She was lost like I was, because, now looking back, she didn't know nothing about a comp plan. She didn't know nothing about, all this stuff. Where I was asking her, how can I order this and order it directly? I thought it was going to go like to downtown LA and buy it wholesale, retail it out. But no, what ended up happening was this. She tells me, we have to recruit you in. I have to, sponsor you, was the word she used. And I was like, sponsor? Why sponsor? No, because we have to bring you in, and start trying to explain to me, but it was very confusing to me. I was going like, what the heck is this? And I told her, all I want to do is buy the stuff and sell it. And as a matter of fact, I was so angry about the other lady. I was like, I already have a group of people that I can sell to, and I really want to sell this stuff to these people, because if I can sell them, I know I can beat out some lady who's really wanting, the business, right? So, when it got to that, she goes like, look. That's when she got a little, I don't know if she got frustrated, but she had a smile on her face and she wanted to help me. I don't know, because she looked at me at 16, didn't really believe me, that I wanted to be in the business or something. But she picked up this 3-ring binder with a lot of photocopies. It was not one original paper in there. It was all Xerox copies. And I remember this very clearly, because I looked at everything, and she's like flipping through it. She goes, this is how they pay you. This is why we have to, but this is the application. This is what we got to do. And then all of a sudden, it got to the point where she was telling me all this stuff through helping other customers that are showing up in the middle. And she took her time to really, just not present me the opportunity, but just to really answer the questions that I had. And to me, that meant a lot. I'm being honest with you. That I think was what sold me the most in just standing there and listening and seeing her work and seeing her sell stuff, and then come back and, get a form and do an order form for a new product that somebody wanted, go back and then keep explaining to me, flipping through this 3-ring binder. That's what really convinced me the most. And one thing that happened was that she actually says one thing that was very, very, that was, that really turned the curve, where she says, look, if you sign up, you're going to get the product at the same cost as me. And then you're going to be able to retail it out. And I was like, okay, so I don't need to go to a warehouse. I don't need to do this. I don't need to go and stock up and all this stuff that I thought, because I sold candy, so I stocked as much as I can. I had what I had an inventory every day. So it just didn't, it made a little sense, but it didn't, but it felt like, wow, I don't need inventory. Fantastic. So I said, okay. And because of her generosity of speaking to me, I think I signed up, and I was excited to sign up. Now, About a week later, I get this package at home. It was a big luggage thing when I get it out of the box, and inside was one pan, one glass, one this, one spoon, well, a lot of ones of everything, right? And one of the things I looked at it, in the very top was some order forms, some, literature, some this, and all of a sudden on the very top was a book and says how to do a home party. And I'm reading through this, and I'm reading through it. And I'm like, I don't know if you guys ever felt this, but it gets to a point where you start feeling like you came into the wrong spot. Like you came into what you didn't want. You're coming into something that you feel it's not for you. And at that point, I was feeling this, because when he says a home party, the first thing I looked at myself in the mirror, I remember I turned and I looked, and I was in a mirror right next to me, and I looked at myself and I go, who the heck is going to believe a 16-year-old to do a home party? Who's going to do a home party for me? I'm reading through this. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And I just decided this is not for me. But I had invested a lot of money into this product that we had in front of us. And I said, well, how can I get it? Well, I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to sell it. See how I can sell it. So I had the idea of having a few friends that, hanged around me all the time from high school. And we all wore our baseball jackets, our school jerseys and stuff like that. And he says, well, let's go. Someone were cheerleaders, and, so they had their uniform. And I said, let's go door to door like we're selling chocolate and just get rid of this. Help me get rid of this. That's all I wanted to do, is get rid of it so I can buy my inventory that I'm used to buying, my candies and stuff. So they helped me. We went door to door, and they went one way that way, one went the other way, one went the other street, and one went this. I went that way. And when we all came back together, something happened that blew my mind. Everybody not only sold what they had, and because we divided all the stuff between each other, everybody not only sold what they have, but everybody had orders. Everybody had order forms that were filled out. Everybody wanted something, and there was so much stuff. It was incredible. So what ended up happening was, at that point, I started thinking about it. Should I put these orders in or not? Should I actually put this in? Am I in the business or not? So I kind of said, well, let's do it. Let's just throw it in. I mean, I'm not going to get that inventory. It's not coming back to me. It's going to go into these people. So I put the orders in, and all of a sudden we start getting more calls for more stuff, because obviously these cheerleaders and friends of mine left the little booklet and over at that house, and it's people were coming to the house and they were ordering it. So I was like, this sounds fantastic. It's like, this is moving better than I thought it would be. And I doubted myself. I don't know how many of you doubted yourself in this business, but I doubted myself. And guess what? I had a shock. And that shock was that people actually wanted to buy this, and they're willing to listen to us. So I decided to hire my friends now. And at that time, I remember this was in the 90s, early 90s. So think about this. I was paying them $4.25 an hour. I know if you guys lived in the 90s, that was a lot of money. That was like paying somebody $20, $25 right now an hour at this moment. So it's like, I'll pay you $4.25 an hour. All we got to do is we'll go door to door and just do this, repeat the same thing that we did, because I guess the philosophy, whatever worked, just do it again. Just repeat it. That's all I was thinking. If it worked the first time, let's do it again. And we started heading, neighborhood to neighborhood. We looked like a caravan of cars. We would park in one neighborhood. We start covering the whole neighborhood and everything else. We start getting all these orders. By the end of like the third month, I became the West Coast #1 sales rep for that company. And it just happened like from moment to moment, but making it work and everything else. Now, people are probably shocked listening to this, because there was no recruiting. It was just sales at that moment for this company. But I found that out that I was wrong, because I found that out at a convention. I went to a convention, which you all should go to the convention, because you might find things out that, you may fall in love with, or you may get the truth, from whatever company you're in. So it's fantastic. I went to this convention. Okay. Now just imagine this. I went to this convention thinking, they're going to give me an award, and I'll get this. They thought my mom was the actual distributor, but because we were Latin, she used my social so she can get in, and basically we're in the company. But they found out that it was it. So when they found out I was it, they put me on stage to give me this beautiful award. And when I put me on stage, they asked me, so explain how you did it. They gave me the microphone. I was never been in front of a room with that many people, and I was scared. As a matter of fact, it was scary at that point. Now I can speak in front of stadiums, and I'm fine. But when I'm there and I'm looking at this room, and there was probably like 500-600 people, I don't know, maybe 1,000 at this convention, and I'm standing there in telling people exactly what I did, how I hired my high school friends, how we went door to door, how we're doing this, and everybody was in silence. And there was this cold look I got from every single person in that room. And get what? I felt so unwanted in that moment, like I did not belong, that I forced myself to finish what I was saying, because I don't know if you ever gotten that sweat coming down, that it's not hot and you're not working out, and you're getting that sweat and it's cold, it's coming down, you can feel it. I mean, and I felt this feeling and this eyesight from every single body hitting me like rays. And guess what? I just wanted to finish and get out. So I finished, I got down off stage and I left right out of that room and walked down the corridor of that convention center until I found a small little kiosk that sold coffee, but it was not like Starbucks or something. It was like those pumps and stuff. So, I sat down on one of the little round tables and I was just pissed. I left I left the trophy on stage. That was how bad I felt. I left. And all of a sudden, this gentleman named Sean walks up and he sits down. He says, Armand, he goes, I love what you do. I'm loving everything you did. I kind of know why you walked out the way you walked out. Everybody noticed. But let me teach you about network marketing. And he was the very first person who ever put circles and lines on an actual napkin instead of giving me a napkin presentation of everything. And he says, look, Armand, you're doing everything correct. The only thing you're missing is learning about residual income. And I says, what? What's that? And he started explaining everything to me. Well, with the circles, lines, and everything else, doing, the pyramid look of everything else. And, and everything started making so much sense. And I felt, why didn't anybody tell me this? Why didn't anybody? I felt kind of like, I don't have teachers here. I felt unwanted in that company. I don't know if you guys ever felt that way before, because there's nobody to guide you sometimes. That's why the AMP is so important for everybody here. Because if you're here and you have nobody to guide you, it doesn't mean your company is wrong. It doesn't mean, because it's a phenomenal company. I was there, but it means maybe you just needed somebody to mentor you so you can actually get things or get where you wanted to get. So this gentleman asked me and told me all this stuff, and I was just there just in awe of everything that was happening and what he was telling me. And I felt so nourished. I don't know, you ever felt like when you ate and you weren't hungry, but you ate and then you felt so full and you felt happy. That's what I felt. I felt that happiness when you feel like Thanksgiving Day, you ate and you ate and you ate, and then you're like, wow, this is fantastic. And I asked him, actually, I go, you actually do this? Because I saw all these women in that room, and I thought I was like in the wrong place, number one, because I saw all women. I didn't see no men in there. And he goes, no, he goes, my wife does it. She's one of the main distributors. I'm actually in another company that's telecommunications. And he started kind of explaining, I asked him more. He didn't want to tell me nothing. I asked him more, about what do you do? Well, that moment, I quit where I was because I didn't feel right, and I followed him into this telecommunications company. At that time, they sold long distance. Okay, I don't know if you guys remember. I know I'm one of the old people here in this call. So, before, just to explain, your telephone line that used to be connected to your wall at home, you used to have regular phone service that was for your neighborhood, and then long distance from another company, which that's what we were at that time, that will get you anywhere you want around their area, that, basically to other states, other countries, and all that stuff. Okay. So we sold that long distance, and they told me, he goes like, basically, look, for everybody you sign, all you need is a signature. You get $45 fast start, something like that. Okay. I was like, man, that's cool. And then from there, every time they pay their bill, you get a residual income. He starts telling me about the residual, all that stuff again. So to me, that was fantastic. And what did I do? I went back to my group of employees or friends that I had, and I told them, I'm not paying you $4.25 an hour no more. It's because I got smart. I said, if you all go, we're going to go all door to door again. We're going to get signatures, and everybody who gets a signature is going to get basically $45 fast start. It's going to get this. And I started explaining this whole thing to all my friends. And guess what? We all did it. We all went and we all ran. within, 3 months this time, I hit one of the top ranks in that company. And all we did was go door to door, knock on the same thing, same philosophy. But now, instead of just selling items and selling stuff, now we're including people in the fortune. We're including people in the residual. We're including people into the dream. See, that's what network marketing is. We're including you into the dream. And it's not like, we want to get to the top. We all want to get to the top, but we all want to get to the dream. And it just, we know now that we can't get there alone. We got to take you with us. That's what it's about. So when we were here, basically, and then after that, by the time I was 18, I was able to buy my mom her first home. And that to me was the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life, And then from there, obviously, by the age of 20, I hit my first 7-figure year. That company, telecommunications, got deregulated, everything else that went out the door, we had to force to find something new. So all these people, we had 20 of us that were in that company, got together and says, well, it was actually more than 20, a little bit more, like 25. But we said, one of them said, I know a place where we're going to get started. It's a product. It's a diet product. It sells this fen type of product, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's losing weight, blah, blah, all that stuff. Fen was a drug basically before, but there was ephedra was one of the ingredients. That's what we use in ours. And basically what ended up happening is we built, for a lot of you who still don't know what ephedra was a long time ago, if you're as old as I am, you remember it was that popular. But here you go. When we hit this company, the company, to get into the company, it was not just like $120 or $500 or even $1,000 like most of your packages and most of your companies. Here was $10,000 per kiosk that you would get, because everyone had a kiosk. Everybody could go put one in a mall, everything else and whatever you had to do. So guess what we did? We grew this company. In that company, by the age of 25, I hit over $5 million a year in earnings. And then we kept growing and we kept growing. And then ephedra became illegal because, unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but a lot of people were getting heart attacks and a lot of people were dying and stuff like that because ephedra. So they thought our product was the issue too. And, they canceled that out. And obviously ephedra got illegalized. And we all love that stuff. I mean, I used it. At that time, I was not as chunky as I am now. I was lean. So I love that product. It gave me a lot of energy, but guess what happened? We had to start over again. And then I went through a bunch of years, like a lot of you, jumping from company to company, looking for a home. But see, my issue now was this. This is one of my learning curves that I teach a lot of people. I went through a lot of companies earning a lot of money. I earned $100,000 a year, $500,000 a year, sometimes $700,000 a year. But guess what? I was never happy and I kept leaving. Why? Not because the companies were all fantastic. The owners were all fantastic. But why did I leave? Because I was so used to making the money I was making that I needed to make that 7-figure mark quick, and not even on a long run, which I could have. I needed to make it fast and make it quick. And because I needed to prove to myself, because everybody was saying, if you hit 7 figures one time, if you hit 7 figures twice, you'll never hit it again. That's what everybody was saying. So I needed to prove them wrong. And so I kept looking for this house and looking for this home and kept moving it around. And guess what? I went crazy to the point that, I just didn't want to do it no more. I wanted to throw the towel. And then I found another company that, I was blessed with beautiful owners and everything else. And they treated me like a son. They treated me with everything. And from there, we hit the 7-figure marks and everything else. By the end, I was doing 12, over 8 figures a year, so it started, building the business. So I was like, at my age, I was the only Latin guy doing in network marketing, doing those kind of numbers. And then obviously, I think one of 5 in the world that were doing those kind of numbers. So I was very blessed, and I'm still very blessed to the moment. Now we do better, but now we're managing a huge company. But that's the short version of what you asked. Sorry.
But one of the things that you are an amazing, by your fruits shall you be known. You talked about, getting around people who will love you, support you, and pour into you. And that's one of the things that you've always done at the Association of Network Marketing Professionals. Your team, you have over 50. You heard me correctly. Armand and his team has already purchased over 50 tickets to be in Dallas at the Association of Network Marketing Professionals in the first weekend of June. and I know you have that list, but you always invest in tickets. You always invest in showing up in person. You always make sure your people show up there and are poured into. And this year, because of you, we're also doing 20 languages. One of those languages is Spanish this year, so that people can show up live at the event and be able to, see the translation in Spanish while they're at the event or online. So how important is it to show up to events? How important is showing up at the Association of Network Marketing Professionals event? And guess what? All the meals are included. Because of Armand, he's the top sponsor of the event, and he has given over $30,000 to be a top sponsor. So where does the money go to? That money goes to ensuring that the tickets are at the best price possible. Normally, a ticket for a VIP event would maybe be $1,000. It's $347. And you've got the VIP party on Thursday night. We start off on Thursday and the VIP party Thursday night. You got Friday morning, then you got Friday lunchtime. It's also included in the price. Then Friday afternoon, you go to Friday dinner. That's also included in the price. We go Friday evening, then we go Saturday morning, then Saturday lunch is also included in the price. And we have a gala dinner on Saturday night, also included in the price. And we have Sunday morning training. I mean, it is, and it's all in one big ballroom. And we've got this incredible event with a huge production values like a Tony Robbins event. And the reason we're able to do it, and our heart goes out to you, Armand, is because of your sponsorship. And I know that not only are you a sponsor, as you said, you have over 50 tickets at your team. Explain why you sponsor it. Explain why you believe people want to, not only from your company, but everyone that's watching here, show up to that event, and why you think it's so important for our profession to get around 50 different speakers who will pour into and raise you up.
One of the reason I think the ANMP, which is I think the #1 event in network marketing at this moment that I've ever seen, also because the talent that shows up is just immense. And it's not like it's just a talent from your company, it's a talent from multiple companies. And here's one thing that I learned, and I want you to understand this, my people who are listening to this, is that you may think you have the stars in your company, which is fantastic, and we love them too. But here's the secret, and I want you to understand the biggest secret of them all in the industry now, in network marketing as a whole industry. Okay. See, a lot of you may be fighting for who you pull from what company to another company, and you try to cross-line recruit from another company to other. But here's the thing about the 7-figure earners, the group that makes 7, 8 figures. Let me tell you the secret. We're all friends. See, and no matter what company they are, we go to dinner together. We show up, they show up in town, they're having a convention, we'll go to dinner together, between us, and we'll go, have a night out with our wives, and I'll go fly to New York and I'll meet up, and somebody will come by and call me and says, "Hey, Armand, I knew you're in town. Let's meet up." Okay, we meet up. We're not in the same company. We're not trying to recruit each other. We're trying to, guess what we're trying to do to each other? Enrich ourselves with information. Because guess what happens? When you enrich yourself, not only you become more, they become more. And that's what we do. And it doesn't matter if you're in my company or in your company or whatever company, it really doesn't matter. You know what the focus is for us, or for me right now, is helping as many of you get into the top of wherever you're at. That's all it is. And that's the ANMP. See, if you want to learn what 7-figure earners do, there's no way, you can stand in the room and say you're a 7-figure earner if you're not, but are you teaching something from the heart that you know? And this is the error and the biggest mistake in network marketing. A lot of people are getting the information from people who are saying they earn a lot, but they've never done it. And they're teaching the wrong way to earn it. Why do I love the ANMP? Because you're putting yourself in a room with 50 people who've actually achieved it. And now you're learning from in a neutral way, where we're not talking about companies. We're not talking about my brand, your brand, and all that stuff, or my product, your product, or whatever. We're talking about growth. How can we get you to grow? Now, why do I support the ANMP? Because the Association of Network Marketing my friends, it's an association that helps network marketers that are you. Not get cheated by companies, not get cheated by the industry, not get cheated by, a lot of different organizations that are out there, and they help you and protect you. And what I found out during the time that I was jumping a lot through a little bit different companies is that I wish somebody supported us. I wish somebody defended us, almost like a union per se, but in a way that you're not united in that manner, but yet you have a defense in that manner. So the value of the A&MP is so valuable to me that I feel the whole industry, even as an owner of a company now, I feel that it's every single distributor should be part of this organization, should be part of the A&MP. They're not taking a percentage of your money every month like a union does. All they do is you have a fee of a yearly fee that you get a lot of information, and then you're there, you're protected. And see, that's one of the things that I love about that. Who protects us as an independent distributor and this independent affiliate? There's not many organizations that are willing to do it. They don't care. A&MP does. And that's why we're here. And that's why I will support it to the last day I breathe, because it's an organization that is built not to help the companies, to help the distributor, the little people. And that's what we need. We need more people helping people, and this world will get a lot more beautiful.
And thank you, because we're stronger together. Guys, when you go to the event, there are no products, there are no brands, there's no company names, no speaker mentions their product, they do not mention their company name. They bring ideas to help you grow. And you have 50 people. You will see Armand as one of the most successful distributors in the room. You'll see a Jeff Roberti as one of the most successful distributors in the room. You will see, a Jesse Lee Ward as one of the most successful distributors in the room. You'll see an Angel Fletcher, John and I could go on and on and on. You go on ANP2022.com, you'll see all the speakers, but they're all sitting there taking notes, and they're all there during the mealtime. So when we have mealtime, we have 2 hours for meals. So imagine being able to, Armand won't sit with his team. Imagine you're sitting down with 5 or 6 of your friends, and Armand will sit down and have lunch with you. And you have the opportunity to ask him. We have a VIP party Thursday night, you can talk to him. You have lunch, and all the breaks are 2 hours. And when you go outside, you go to the buffet, it's gorgeous, VIP buffet. Get your meal, come back into the room. It's all on the round. You're sitting down, and all the speakers don't sit together and clicky like Armand was sitting and chatting to one another. No, they go around and make sure that one of them is at each table where there's enough speakers, where there's enough tables, and they're speaking with you and chatting with you. Maybe it's lunchtime on Friday, or dinner time on Friday evening. And those meals are sponsored by people to help give additional value and conversations to the people that are showing up. It's about giving back. As Armand said, when you give back, you receive much. We're about raising one another up together. It's a grassroots organization. It's a completely different thing. And I want to say this, Armand gets paid no money. No speaker gets paid any money. Every speaker buys their own ticket to be at the event. They pay for their own flights. They pay for their own hotel rooms. And many of them, like Armand, for example, some like our owners, they're going, we even sponsor the event and give money so that they can bring the price down so more people can show up. It is a true heart gift to help you grow your business. Is there anything else that you want to say? Because I know there's a lot of people on here for the first time going, well, should I change my plans for June the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th? Should I show up? How beautiful is the hotel? Guys, the hotel is completely refurbished from top to bottom, new AC system, new hotel room. Every room has been refurbished, new lobby, new conference facility. The whole place during the pandemic from bottom to top is a new, gorgeous hotel. So paint the picture. Should people show up? Should they make plans? Should they drive? Should they do everything they can to get there?
Let me just put it this way. Throughout my career, I have 30 years now in this beautiful industry, doing very well. One thing that I learned by making friends, see, what our job, if you look at the word network marketing, you're networking friends. All right, not everybody's in your business. You're networking friends. And by networking friends, this is what happens. You know, I have like a great friend, and I can name them all. I mean, if you have like an Angel Fletcher, if you know an Angel Fletcher, if you don't, you need to be there. If you know a Tom Chenault, if you don't know him, you don't know that name, you got to be there. Jeffrey Birdie, you don't know him, you got to be there. See, all these people that are they're coming to the event are phenomenal icons of what we do. And just imagine if you're sitting there now. Don't sit there trying to convince yourself you're recruiting somebody else from another company, because that's not going to happen. And you will be kicked out. But guess what? Figure this out. If you make friends with these people, and let me tell you something, me, if I made friends with somebody and I know your company, I know what you're doing, okay? And somebody doesn't want to come into my opportunity, I'll refer them to you. That's what we do as champions. That's what we do as leaders. When there's so many times that Tom Chenault has referred people to me. You know why? Because they didn't want to do what he does, so he comes to me. So fantastic. Everybody does this in the industry. That's how we make friends. And guess what? It's about the networking part of the business. That's what you got to do. And guess what? If you're not there, I'm telling you this, you're missing out on some information. And I would give a leg to sit in a room with so much information that will cut my journey so short. And that's what it's about. It's about us telling you what we did wrong, so you won't do it wrong. It's about showing you the way, how we cut through the field. And so you can have, a road to run on, so you can run there faster. That's what this is about, my friends. And to be at the A&P, I'll be honest with you, there's no greater event, other than your company convention, that you should be there. There's no greater event that puts so many quality people and distributors in front of you to learn from. We got some 20-year-olds, 25, 26-year-old, 30-year-olds, under 30 people making a lot of money going to be in front of that room, trying to teach you what they did and how they did it fast and who they learned from and stuff like that. There's going to be people that do a lot of different things. Go ahead.
No, but I heard you say it one time. You said, we don't make any income claims. We say it as it is, going, guys, it's a profession, which means you've got to put the work in. You've got to have a standard to understand how to build a business. You've got to learn some skills. You got to learn to lead. But we can save you time by learning lessons that we learned the hard way. So what we learned, we can teach to you, so you don't have to go the hard way to get there. But I remember I heard you saying this before, when you learn from someone that's maybe making 10 times as much money as you want to make, 10 times. I saw you do this with your hands. You raised your hands and let's imagine someone on this stage and you said, we don't mention monies, but let's say I'm making 10 times what your goal is that you want to make financially in 1 year. Don't you believe that you can do at least 10% of what I'm doing? And people go, oh my gosh, if you're learning from people who are making 10 times as much as you want to make, most people in that audience looks at it and go, I can at least be 10% as good as they are. Yeah. And that is mind-blowing for some people. And also, it's the sheer number of people who are succeeding. And you hear stories like Armand going, I come from humble beginnings. My mom was a beautiful single mom, and she raised me and my brother beautifully, but we were sometimes in a car. Not just in a car, a bottle of water was all we had to drink, and my youngest brother was drinking it. That's probably as difficult a child upbringing as you would think, and look where I am today. And you hear so many people tell the true story, and you are inspired to go out there and do things. Imagine what that can do for you. Imagine being in that room and meeting Armand saying, hey, I've had a difficult upbringing. Can I tell you my story? And Armand just puts his hand on your shoulder and says, you can do it. Imagine what happens in that moment when you look in the eyes and you have that connection from the heart. You're going, oh my gosh, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can change my future. And imagine that many times happening throughout the weekend. How valuable is that to you in your journey? So the last thing I want to say is this, Armand. What's the difference between being there in person and watching in a Zoom? I'm looking in the Zoom camera right now. Is there a difference? Is there a value in showing up and being able to hug someone, break bread with someone, look them in the eye. How important is that? I want you to really talk about that.
Oh, well, let me just explain it this way. One of the biggest ways I learned to do the business. Remember, I talked about Sean earlier before as my first mentor.
Yep.
Well, he showed me at that time, not this back office, a fax, because before we had, I don't know if you guys know, because all you youngins have computers now. See, we had a fax with spit out like a printer that spit out paper with all the information. And that was our back office. We would dial that number and we'll get our like tons of these pages coming out in rolls of all our back office so we can look at it and see where we're at and everything else. Well, he showed me that one day and he was doing about 80 grand a month. And I said, what? I never believed anybody because where I came from, that's impossible for somebody. I didn't fathom that was possible to do. And guess what I did? I began to follow him in person. Wherever he went, I became his shadow. I became the person that flipped, because back then, let me explain to you again, youngins, we didn't have a PowerPoint. We had a flip chart. That was a piece of paper, like a giant book. And we used to flip the next page so you can see the next slide. So we didn't have that clicker that you have right now and all that technology that you see this through. So guess what happened? I was the clicker because he was talking and I was the one flipping the page and I had a stick that would point to where he was talking about. Basically, that was my job, but I did it. Why? Because I wanted to learn from what he's doing to earn that kind of money. So he was flipping the page. I was flipping the page, and my other job was hitting the play button for the music and the pause button. So that was another thing. So as I was flipping all this, I was learning what he was doing, and guess what I learned? Everything he did was word by word the exact same thing he was saying. Everything, the same jokes he was telling. So one day I got the courage, I got my team together and I said, let's do it. Let's do a presentation. And when I did a presentation, guess what happened? I started doing, so I had somebody else flipping. I did the same presentation he did, word verbatim. I even made the mistake that I called myself Sean in front of everybody because my mind was like, do it the same, do the same. And I did that by mistake. But guess what? At the end of that night, I closed everybody the way he did. So I started getting as good, just repeating everything he did. They didn't change a thing. They didn't want to change nothing. They didn't change the wheel. They didn't put new rims on the wheel. I just rolled the same wheel. That's all I did. And it got me to the same place he was. And it got to the point where I was doing $80,000 a month. And I was happy. And since I hit 80,000 and for some reason it wasn't going up or down that point, it just kind of leveled off, plus, some bonuses and stuff. And I was like, well, you know what, in my mind, I said, I hit the top of the company. I hit what the maximum amount they pay you. That's what I thought. Then we went to a convention and he presented me to his sponsor. And when he presented me to his sponsor, she says, he goes, how you doing, Armand? Nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And we started talking. I goes, well, I'm doing fantastic. I hit the top of the comp plan. And I was like, no, you did not. And then she told me how much she made. And I was like, what? I'm sorry. He made 20, she made 80. I made a mistake. He made 20 grand, she made 80. So she's telling me she's making 80 grand a month. And I was like, what? I was like, 80 grand a month? Really? I thought 20 was the maximum. Goes, no, there's no maximum. It depends on how you work and blah, 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 So I was like, okay. So what did I do? I went to Provo, Utah and became her shadow and just shadowed her to find out what else she's saying that I'm not saying. See, here's the thing about being in person and being a person that's watching here. You're not going to get that detail. If you're watching it on Zoom, you may get a piece of it. You might get some information, but you're not going to hear, like, for example, if you're on stage and I'm talking, you're not going to hear the people yelling back and conversing. You're not going to hear that on the Zoom. You're just going to hear me talking to people. You're not going to hear them talking back. You might get a glimpse of that. You might get a glimpse of that information. You're not going to get that hug or that, oh my God, I want to be him. I want to learn from him and have that conversation during those 2-hour breaks. That's not going to happen on a Zoom. You're just going to have you in the mirror. So to me, to be there live with people, especially in this industry, these are my friends. Literally, they're my friends. And I have, I think, one of the best jobs in the world, which is network marketing. To me, is not about working my ass off. It's about hanging out with all my friends all through the year. I travel all year long, all over the world. I put over 250,000 miles on my airline, just flying, from place to place to place to place. And all I do, yes, I do a meeting, but all the rest of the time, I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm hanging out with my people. I'm hanging out with the people that, that you love. That is family, my friends. That is something, that's a lifestyle that I don't care if you want to be rich or not, because having money doesn't mean you're rich. Let me tell you that. Having, being rich to me means you have a house. It might be a small house. Doesn't matter what kind of house. It is paid for. And you have a car. It might not be a new car. It might be an old one, but it's paid for. You have nothing. And whatever extra you're doing, you have that time freedom to say, Tuesday morning, say, guess what? You wake up out of bed, you go, oh, I'm getting up. And then you can say, you know what? I feel like going skiing. And you go, skiing, it's almost summer. Well, I'll find a place, I'll just fly there. That's time freedom. You don't get that because and I'll tell you that story because my son actually, one day when he was younger, he goes like, I want to go to the snow. And it was like like close to June. And I was like, where the heck am I going to find? I went online and we flew to that place. That's time freedom. Imagine giving your children that opportunity. See, you don't get that by doing a Zoom only or listening through Zoom. You might get the information, but you're not going to get the feeling, the heart. You're not going to get that sense of awe. You're not going to get that immense feeling that you would get like when you visit somewhere important. I don't know if you guys ever visited somewhere where you can feel that energy in you, or a concert where you can feel that energy in you. You can watch a concert on TV. It's not the same thing.
No. But
you go live, it's a whole different deal. The emotion is different. The feeling is different. Guess what? There's only like 500 spots right now or less. And I would say, if you're not there, you're missing out. That's all I can tell you. I would love to hug you and every single one of you have a talk and sign a book or whatever it is. We're there. That's all we're there for.
I was thinking about this. The last time that we were together, because you remember the pandemic, before the pandemic was, we were in Amsterdam together in Holland, Amsterdam and Holland.
Yeah.
Liam, Frank McGraw, son, Sylvie and myself. I was the MC of the event. The main speaker was Armand Puyolt was the main speaker. And Armand, we were hanging out together in Amsterdam. And the person that hosted the event in Amsterdam is Ted and Deanie. They're flying from Holland, Amsterdam, to be in Dallas this weekend. People are coming from all over the world, from Thailand, from Japan. There's people coming from everywhere to be at this event. And I know that Armand there, you also have some tickets as well. So some of your people I know own tickets. Ada's got tickets, you've got tickets, your team are buying tickets online. I know that you're always normally the largest team at the event. If anyone's got any questions, reach out to Armand, reach out to us at the association. And the people have been asking the question, everybody stays at the same hotel and they're all suites. So we have contracted that all the rooms that you can get for $130 a night. If you look on right now, they're over $200 a night, but they're all suites and they're beautifully big suites. I know a lot of people, I know one of the things that the association people always go, how many people were in that room?
And guess what? Let me just tell everybody that it doesn't matter what room you're in. It doesn't matter if it's the cheapest room in the hotel or whatever it is. Guess what? We don't sleep. When you're at that event, we're all in the hall. We're all in the lobby. We're all. You're going to see I don't know if you guys ever gone into a hotel. It's always empty. Nobody. But when you go to this event, see what you guys don't understand. I think the feeling that nobody understands is this is a family reunion. So every time we get together, nobody goes to bed. I mean, you know how many of us walk from there to maybe the Whataburger or the In-N-Out or something, we're all going together, like, let's just go, and everybody just walks and, to wherever we need to walk. It's just a fantastic feeling. I'm telling you, I want you to be part of this family. That's all you got to do. Now, how do you become part of the family? Is you have to show up. That's all you got to show up and just introduce yourself to any of the legends that are there.
Yeah. And all the meals are paid for. This is what's great. Everyone's a VIP. So it's Thursday night. It goes Thursday night, So we open it up and it goes from about 7 to 9 or 10 o'clock. Then we have a VIP party. Everyone that's there. So there's food at the VIP party. It's a lot of fun. Then the next day we do go in the morning. Lunch is included. So imagine this, you come out of this big ballroom where you just had an electric event and there's this beautifully gorgeous buffet. You pick up your plate and your food, you bring it back into your table. There are all these beautiful crescent round tables. And you sit down, maybe Armand sits with you, Angel Fletcher sits with you, Tom Chanel sits with you. All these different speakers move around and sit with you and you talk and everybody's hanging out. And upstairs, we've got couches outside for people to network and chat with one another. And then we go in the afternoon, the same, we do a dinner together. Then we go from the evening, then everybody goes down to the lobby downstairs and hangs out in the evening. Then we get up in the morning and we go Saturday morning, then lunches together, all included in the price. Then we go in the afternoon, then people go away for a little while and they come back. We have a gala dinner, all included in the price. Everybody's hanging out Saturday night and we get up Sunday morning and we fellowship and we have, hang out. We do Sunday morning training. Then we finish off Sunday lunchtime and people hang out and chat and hugs and everything else and high fives. And it's a great weekend. I love the vision that you put out there. Family reunion. That's exactly what it is.
That's how we feel it.
Yeah. We want you to be there. Armand, I want to say thank you so much. The reason the price of the tickets is $430 is because of people like Armand sponsoring it. I know Armand's, you guys have already purchased well over 50, 60 tickets on your team. You normally have about 100 people from your team staying in the hotel. It's a real party with all the different people there together with you. As Armand said, everybody's hanging out and enjoying this and having a great time. Is there any last thing that you want to say to everyone that's on the fence, thinking in their mind, should I do it, should I not? And then we'll just finish out here.
Well, a lot of people who are out there might not think it's for you, especially, let me tell you one thing. One thing that I love the most in my company is the conventions, the events. Because it's a family reunion for our family it's like the close family, imagine you have a marriage. So this is your family, what you have, but you have a marriage. The other marriage is the industry. It's like basically not the other marriage, but the other part of the marriage. So the other part is your family. So you just imagine if I'm walking around, I got Michelle Barnes on one side. And then all of a sudden I got Jordan Adler on one side, which is one phenomenal speaker, and you got to understand that. And then all of a sudden you got Lisa Grossman, which is, if I could call her a mentor, I would, but she's more of a friend than everything else. And she's just knowledge in her. She's one person's owner of a company instead of a distributor because, a conversation we had. So it's something awesome. One of the most phenomenal speakers you'll ever hear in any company, like Matt Morris. All these people I love, and we have pictures together and everything else. So I couldn't miss all that. Imagine a Sarah and Tony, coming up and having a conversation with them. Imagine having a Nicola Jackson, for example, turning around, you having a conversation. Guess what? Everybody does the business successfully. And here's the deal. Why not scrape some conversation and learn something, ask questions. One of the things I recommend everybody that shows up is really to fulfill your, to fulfill the amount of money you're paying, because sometimes you feel it's a lot of money. That's fantastic. But how do you fill that void that you just let go? Well, fill it with information. Go up to Al Bala and ask him, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And, or Fraser Brooks. What are you going to do? Fraser Brooks, phenomenal. When you see him on stage, you're going to remember his jokes. You're going to remember his speech for months and months and months. You're not going to forget it. You may want to copy it sometimes, you shouldn't, but you may want to even copy a joker here or there. That's how good that is. You got a lot of people here, a lot of people, we got Jessie Lee Ward, for example. You're going to remember her the rest of your life just by listening to her. And sometimes you don't know about people like this. Why? You don't know about these people because you're only visiting your side of the family. Mm-hmm. You're not visiting the rest of the family. And you can learn from both sides. Yes. It is important to be in your side and guess what? But isn't it more important to come back to your side and bring the information that will make your site bigger. See, that's all it's about. And to me, it's one of the happiest weekends of my life. As a matter of fact, I had an event in Latin America during that time, and it's still going to be going. But guess what? You know, when I found out that this is open, I called that one out and I said, I'm sorry, my personal one. As I'm visiting a lot of people on my side of the family, but I got to visit, you know, the family reunion that's happening on that other side of the family. Because guess what? It's important. You know, when you see a Ray Higdon, you know, speaking, you pay sometimes thousands of dollars to see that gentleman, but you see him teaching you in front of you. It just becomes something more special, you know? And that's all it's about. It's about creating that relationship, creating that knowledge, you know, growing that knowledge more than everything else that you have that will bring your family a lot more wealth, will bring your team a lot more success, bring your team a lot of information they may not know, and it's not their fault. They just may not know the secrets of everybody who's a seven-figure earner. And if there's some place like an Angel Fletcher standing in front of a room, and I remember her when she was a very small person in the industry, and I remember her grow, and I remember her growing to the level that she is today. And I guess what? Every time I see her, I'll have always a tear in my eye because I saw her grow all the way through to where she is right now. And I had some conversations with her and the owners of her company and everything else. And guess what? I saw her grow to the levels they are. And we always were friends, and we always will be friends. Why? Because success has success around them. Mm-hmm. And you want success, you must have success around you. That's all it is. See, you might feel like the ugly duckling or the only person in your family that has a vision, that you may feel, you know, everybody laughs at you. Maybe everybody taunts you. Everybody says you're crazy. And then you go to the convention of your company, you feel like, well, there's a lot more crazy people together, but maybe not many people hit those numbers. Now you come to something like the ANP and you got so many people that are just seven-figure earners, and even not speakers, but they're there in that room. And you got so many people that have so much success. You know what it is? It's like going to that VIP club, you know, where every single one has earned enormous amounts of money. If I count the amount of money that, and I'm not supposed to talk about money here, and I'm sorry, but if you see how much money in this room will be, I mean, like literally, like if you count everybody's income, you know, it's just amazing. And I'll be honest with you, that doesn't happen without relationships. That doesn't happen without building a network. You know, that doesn't happen without, you know, building a knowledge of people's errors, mistakes, and pluses, you know, what they've done to succeed. You know, and the only way you're going to get that is being with them. One keynote may help you because you're listening to the keynote, but the questions you will ask during those lunch breaks to whoever interests you the most, their story, that's where the main knowledge is at. That's where the growth is really at, because then you get a personalized question answered. And to me, that is worth more money than anything else in this world. That's just that simple. Because knowledge is power, my friends. You've all heard that before.
Well, Armand, success leaves clues. We said it often. When you forget where you've come from, you're on your way back. You've always remembered your humble beginnings, and you want to give back to other people, and you can give back in a bigger way now. And I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for doing that. Liam, Sylvia, and I, and the entire profession, we're looking forward to seeing you at the event. Those of you that are on here right now watching, we're looking forward to you being here as well. All you got to do is make the decision, get you there. You will meet with us on Sunday and you will give us a hug. You will give Armand a hug and say, I'm so happy I made the decision to come here. I just want you to imagine Sunday morning at that event, you're going to go, I'm so glad I sacrificed or I figured out how to get there. This is going to make such a difference. And that's what we want for you. And that's why we put this event on. Staying at the hotel is magical. Every room is only $130. They're all the same price because they're all suites. We've contracted, we have run of house in the hotel because we're an association. The town of Addison gives us a break with the hotel. The hotel gives the break because we're an association, we're a not-for-profit. That's why we're pouring into you. And we got people like Armand, who is sponsoring the event to help bring down the ticket prices, hotel prices, and everything else. We're pouring into you to make it accessible to you. So all you have to do is show up. So Armand, from all of us, God bless you. Thank you very much for your time here tonight. Looking forward to seeing you, brother, as well at the event. We're going to have a lot of fun here together. So cheers, everybody. God bless you all. Have a great evening. Have a great week. And this time, 2 weeks, we'll all be getting together. Cheers, guys. God bless. Bye-bye.
You guys
Bye,
in 2
everyone.
weeks.
Thank you.